A long season contesting the LMGT Sprint Championship Series comes to an end today. And what a stage we have for the final race and the countdown to handing out hardware. Welcome to the LMGT Sprint Series. Welcome to Imola. Welcome to the championship finale. I'm Jesse Lee, joined by Joseph Black, Ted Edwards behind the cameras as usual. And Joseph, I'm rubbing my hands together. We've got a juicy one out here today. Not only are we deciding a couple of champions, one in pro, one in am, we're also going to be treated to a fantastic race in the Italian countryside.
Yeah, it should be pretty good. Imola always tends to throw up a decent race, if not necessarily fighting side by side. It's more of a strategic battle of incredibly long pit lane, or one that they'll take a lot of time in, is what they have to contend with. And so the less pit stops, the better around the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari. And at the moment, 3 minutes left in qualifying, we've got Zach Vermack heading up to the top. It's an Aston Martin 1, 2, 4 at the moment. Philippe Brescia just splitting them in the 46 BMW.
Certainly is. Of course, we'll have the championship standings as they stand and stack up into today's race. After the conclusion of qualifying here, still work to do. Kevin Boss makes good on his promise. He said that if he could be here for the finale, he would do, and he has joined us in the GR Racing Ferrari. And 18th place currently for the Dutch driver. Vermack fueled Breccia the top three, or at least it was, until Martin Lawrence did his normal reappearing act at the end of the session. He put his number 88 Ford Mustang in P2. A quarter of a second thereabout off of Vermack's time of 43.846. Looking really stout here for that Aston.
Yeah, the Aston Martins at the moment looking pretty quick, like they did last week, and they're looking pretty comfortable at the top at the moment. You've got Lawrence and Brescia up there in the Ford and the BMW respectively. So just to start off with, it's not a bad it's not a bad start. It's not bad going. 7 drivers within a second of that pole time. Van der Weyken just outside as the BMW is taking a little bit more time to get bedded in. This is Martin Lawrence, who's improving in that first sector by a quarter of a second, and so that's not a bad start for him. The target time is, of course, as you mentioned, a 43.8 to start off with. Lawrence currently sitting with a 44.1 and improving once again in that second sector. And we'll see what the 88 is able to do in the third as he comes around the final few corners. We'll see whether he's able to challenge for that pole time. I think he's going to be in good stead if he's able to hook up these final couple of corners. Of course, you need to get the run out of the exit because the line's pretty far up, and so you just need to really hammer it down on that final corner, and that's exactly what Lawrence has done. He's going to come up to the line, as I say, very late down the straight. He's still not reached it until right about now. There it is. And there is the pole time, 43.3.
That is not only a pole time, that is a stonking pole lap, as you Brits would say. That was absolutely incredible. A 43.3. I didn't know if we would get that low, but we absolutely have. Mustang to the pole in Italy. What will Vermack say? What will Raphael Huell have to say? Personal best in Sector 1, all negated in Sector 2. Sector 3, not better as well. You know, I gave Martin Lawrence half a chance there. He was a 10th down coming into the third sector, Joseph, but he was able to make that work. Incredible. He made up nearly half a second in that final sector alone.
Yeah, that will be because of the run that he got out of the final corner. That is what that one will all come down to for Martin Lawrence. Just getting the power down and just getting the revs up is so crucial. You don't know how crucial it is until you've got it wrong, and you can just see the delta timer coming down and down and down, and it's very difficult to just keep your momentum up after that one, and Martin Lawrence there demonstrating exactly how you take that final sector with a 43.3. We saw Callum Kerrigan backing out of a lap just a minute ago. I think we may well be seeing Milan van der Weyken backing out of this one, or he may well keep going. He's looking a bit scrappy, but of course it is the final run that he's going to get in, so he's going to attempt his best shot at it. And I think we've got a few more drivers to come up to the line, but I don't think anybody is going to match Lawrence.
I really don't think so either. Martin Lawrence just set an exclamation point lap, and out of absolutely nowhere, his baseline lap was good enough for P2. His second lap was good enough for pole. This is the man we're looking at, though, in the heart of racing, Aston Martin, Zach Vermack. If anyone's going to be able to take it to him, it's going to be him. But just look at that Delta, Joseph. I don't think it's going to happen.
No, it doesn't look like it's going to, as Huell up to the line, and well, he's not improved with a 44.0. He's just 7/10 off a Lawrence, which doesn't seem like much unless you look at the times early on in the session. For Mac, 44.3 does not improve as well. Actually goes slower than Huell on that
Ryan
final
Gill.
run. But because of his
I'm sorry to interrupt. Is that Ryan Gill, obscured from view only slightly? Oh my goodness, what is he doing? Isn't he supposed to be working? Ain't you supposed to be, I don't know, twiddling some knobs, plugging in some cords in the background? Ryan Gill, what are you doing in the stands here at Imola today? It's a lovely day for a race nonetheless.
Yeah, it is. Going back to the point, as you got distracted, it is like when you're watching an event and there's you can find yourself in the crowd, like when you're watching it back. Anyway, Martin Lawrence taking that pole position, Zach Vermack taking second as the Aston Martins were toppled off of their dominance at the top. Raphael Huell took that third away, with Philip Brescia just under a second behind in fourth. Angela Scotti in fifth. Whole 10th ahead of Reese Wilkinson and Zeno van der Driesch. Then Ryan Cassidy in 8th place, Milan van der Weyken in 9th, and Daniel Merchant rounding out the top 10. The bottom three in the top 10 split by only a 100th and a half. Richard Whittle in 11th with Callum Kerrigan in 12th place. Terry Liggins in 13th and Madam Mimsman in 14th. Snooty McFlood 2 seconds off of the pole time with Carlo Dorazio, Kevin Boss, Michel even Beisner, Colin Campbell and Stanislav Samashin rounding out your top 20. And then Frank Forrest P21.
21 cars will contest the series finale, split among two classes, Pro and Am. What's the difference? Well, veteran status and, of course, also pace is a big thing. Starting off with the LMGT Pro cars, Martin Lawrence holds the championship lead at 133 points despite a mid to late season slide. Christoph Verstappen has moved up into second place, 105. 1 point behind them and holding down third place, Philippe Brescia in 104. Zeno van Driesch falls to P3, 102 points. Roland Savick rounds out your top 5 with 96, tied with Angela Scotti for that position. Zach Vermack, talk about a slide, a couple of DNFs. Only you can imagine what the season might have looked like had they not had those DNFs. But down in 7th, Raphael Huell, Ryan Gill, Ryan Cassidy round out your top 10 in Pro. Outside of that, Mims Man, Wilkinson, Martins, Liggins, D'Orazio, Kanani, Armstrong, Badowski, Valet, Hewer, the 20 cars in Pro. We've actually got a few more. Fedorov, Daly, Liddon, and Yo. In the Am category, Milan van der Weyken has taken the championship lead and did so a round or so ago. Tom Watts was the previous championship leader, but this fight not done and over yet. It's going to be BMW versus McLaren. Van der Weyken has had the edge. I'm just being told, too, that Tom Watts isn't here today to contest the championship. That will all but hand it to Milan van der Weyken. Daniel Merchant in third place on 90 points. Peter Varga has 75 in fourth. Andy Cotton rounds out the top 5 with 62. Behind them, Richard Whittle, Callum Kerrigan, Daniel Ball, Colin Campbell, and Racer. Outside of that, Van, Takahashi, Rizov, Fisciuto, Shamison, DeClerico, Forrest, Breno, Besner, and just joining us today, Kevin Boss. Lopez, Vilas, Mas, and Beckett, I believe, have not participated in the championship thus far. Well, still got some crowns to hand out here today. Martin Lawrence is in the best place to get it done. Joseph, despite Martin's slide here in the late season, he built up such a lead. Nobody else has been able to hang with him. It hasn't really mattered, but still, he can grab defeat from the clutches of victory today if he has another blow up. He can't afford that today. He is, however, in the best starting spot.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you feel in such a comfortable position. Then you get further on into the season, you get more pressure on you, and then you start to sort of start to slip down, and your standards start to slip, and that's just a slippery slope all the way down to where you don't want to be, which is further down the field. And today he needs to put on a good performance. But of course, the drivers behind will be hoping to challenge the drivers ahead. So it's not going to be easy for any of the drivers, as well, we're getting our eyes on the starting order, we're getting our eyes on the drivers, and they are coming around the final couple of corners to get us going here this evening for the final round in the LMGT Sprint Series. Martin Lawrence on that pole position, Zach Vermaak alongside him, Raphael Huell and Philip Brescia line up on the second row of the grid. Four incredibly quick drivers. Don't forget Angelo Scotti as well in P5, and well, don't forget everybody else in the field. They can all spring a surprise, but the top two lines on the grid have demonstrated themselves the four quickest drivers, and they are now going to try and demonstrate themselves the quickest drivers once again for an hour dash around the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari. Lawrence is going to lead us away. It's just down to him as to when we get going for the green flag. He crosses the line. We're going for our hour around Imola, and Martin Lawrence is leading the way. Zach Vermaak is going to try to take the outside line into the first quarter. Philip Brescia is going to try and pressure Raphael Huell around the outside. Lawrence gets out braked by Zach Vermaak, who goes up into the lead of the race. Brescia breaks early as there's an incident in the background, as there is drivers off of the field, so we'll see what happened with that, who was affected by it, but at the top, Zach Vermaak leads.
3 wide in the background does not work out. One car gets completely turned sideways. There's a BMW in the sandwich as well. It looks like they've just about saved themselves. That might have been Van Driesch's BMW. Behind all of that, Terry Liggins finds themselves in a little bit of a hornet's nest, trying to make their way up around the outside. You can get that done, you know, but he'll have to fall back in line for the time being. Vermaak out in front of Lawrence, Brescia, the top three right now. Vermaak's going to do everything he possibly can to make this difficult as a championship drive as he can for Martin Lawrence. Brescia just looking to solidify their position in the final standings as well. You mentioned Angelo Scotti. Well, they're down 2 spots from the initial start, down to 7th place out of 5th, as everybody goes line astern halfway through the lap, and thank goodness mostly before they got to Acqua Minerale for the first time.
Yeah, and they're just trying to settle in now, because I think what happens at the start is you're so desperate to keep up positions, then you could drive over the line, as Angelo Scotti is side by side now with Ryan Cassidy, and Scotti outbraking themselves on the outside line, but they might still make the move stick, as Cassidy still tries to hold on to that inside line. Van Driesch getting himself involved in this battle, picking up the slipstream off of Scotti and tries to make his way through, but Cassidy covers off the line. This still allows Van Driesch to try and go for an overtake, just means Scotti is under less pressure as they head into the first corner on this racetrack. Van Driesch looks to the inside, but Cassidy looks to the outside. This may not work, as Scott is later on the brakes once again. Cassidy gets out braked by Van Driesch, and it's the number 31 who makes his way through, and Ryan Cassidy, trying to hold on to P6, finds himself falling to P8.
That was absolutely brilliant driving, all things considered. I know I cursed everybody a week ago when I said that they were doing some brilliant driving side by side, but that was pretty darn amazing to have the trust in your fellow competitor like that, and it was just absolutely beautiful between the two of them there as they are able to get away. Scotti, of course, up a spot here into P6 and back to where they started nearly. I got Reese Wilkinson directly in front of them. Meanwhile, further back in the field, Stanislav Shamison in the Manti number 92 Porsche, staring at another 92 Manti Porsche off of the track there, off of the track before Aqua Minerale. That's not what you want to do. That's going to lose them the opportunity to get up close to the back of the 19th place car there. Very, very scary indeed, but you got to stay close. That's Michael Beisner in the 19th place car. They're focused forward, not really looking in that mirror as everybody touches the dirt and the sand off of the chicane, as really are trying to keep pace here, Joseph. That's really the name of the game. You're going to see a lot of mistakes here, a lot of micro mistakes. That's all it's really going to take, because otherwise passing here, unless you get it done in Sector 1, nearly impossible.
It really is. It's a very tight circuit, and well, mistakes are what you try and avoid around this circuit, because of just that is the way that drivers will get through in Sector 2 and arguably Sector 3 as well. It's just trying to avoid mistakes will get you a very, very long way. Richard Whittle trying to pressure Callum Kerrigan right up ahead as Van der Weyken holds on to that 9th place. Is that somebody going off of the circuit in the background? I believe that to be Madam Mimsman, who just went off, had a moment on the exit of the corner, and she not badly affected, but we'll see where they end up going. 13th at the moment, and has dropped a little bit of Daniel Merchant, could be coming under pressure from Liggins behind, but at the moment not doing too terribly, as we're going to get the replay of Madam Mimsman, hopefully, and we're going to get the replay of that race start and see what happened right at the top. So you can see Vermaak and Lawrence side by side, Brescia and Huel doing the same, but it's in the mid pack that we're interested in on this occasion, and we want to see what happened potentially between Angela Scotti and Angela Scotti losing the rear, and well, that's just caused a little bit of collateral.
Yeah, what you couldn't see there was they were 3 wide going through the turn 2-3 complex right there, and that's exactly what got them in that position in the first place. Now you'll see it better illustrated. Zeno Van Dries tries to shoot the middle down here in turn 2 between the D Station Aston and the Harder Racing Aston, and realistically, this is not any one particular driver's fault. This is running out of room. This is what it looks like, and I guess maybe if you wanted to say something, Scotty didn't realize that maybe there were still 2 cars to the inside, could have given over a little bit, but honestly, it's the start of the race. It's one of those things, and luckily, nobody really lost a ton of anything there. In fact, Scotty lost out the most, I think we could all argue, and they've went ahead and made up a spot since then. So, bit of a scary start, but no cars ending up backwards as they continue around. Vermaak continues to lead Martin Lawrence. That gap has neither expanded or shrunk in the last lap or two as they continue line astern. Blecha falling off of the back of them, however, in the 46 BMW. I was going to say, Van der Weyken is in a hornet's nest, but it's not out the windscreen. It's out the rear view camera. Cars side by side behind them. Kerrigan and Whittle going at it here for 10th place.
Yeah, they are fighting it out between the two of them, as there is a yellow flag being waved, but we're looking right at the action, and Daniel Merchant trying to get involved. So is Madam Mimsman, but Stanislav Samashin could have been where the issue lay for that yellow flag. As going off the circuit, that was somebody going incredibly slowly and just trying to recover themselves. Carlo Dorazio looks like he may well have had a split spin, taken too much curbing, trying to go down the inside of Liggins, and there's contact between the two, and that is certainly not ideal. Dorazio trying to take the inside on Liggins. Liggins just slammed the door, and Carlo Dorazio drops to the rear of the field.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, isn't it, really? But it's certainly part of it, and running out of room here is very common. It's sort of the character of Imola a little bit, where a lot of these turns you could make it 2 wide and even go 3 wide, but the problem is the choke point of the corner is so very narrow that you can't really or sustain that, even if you can facilitate it on a straight, and it gets really tight in a hurry. And if you don't have a plan or you're non-committal about it, you're going to get yourself into trouble. No real issues in Aqua Minerale yet, which is interesting. In ACC, we usually have a problem there with grip loss and also a problem in the chicane. Nothing doing here. More of the usual spots. You'd be familiar with this particular circuit's trouble spots and how they get themselves into trouble in the Formula One space, wouldn't you? Turns 2, 3, and of course, Rivazza and places like that are where the normal trouble spots are, where you end up side by side. We're seeing that a lot today in tin tops.
Yes, oh, look at that. Zeno Andrisha going into the barrier on the side of the circuit, just flying off. And that is the end of his championship challenge. It was an outside shot for the team WRT 31. We'll get a replay as to what happened for Zeno Vandrisha on the circuit, but that is going to be the end of, I'd imagine, his race, or at least his competitive race up at the top, fighting with Brescia and Vermac for the title. Does he take too much curbing? Does he get hit? It looks as though, oh, he's just had a slide. He's had a slide, and he's overcorrected, and into the wall goes Zeno Vandrisha. That is his championship over.
Well, as easy as it is, as hard as it is, and that's as easy as it is to exit the race, and as hard as it is to finish your championship. Zach Vermac continuing to lead. Martin Lawrence has turned up the intensity a little bit. That gap was hanging around a second. It's now more than half, or less than half of that, I should say. Lawrence closing back in, and it's not quite Martin Lawrence time, is it, Joseph? Really, he normally turns it on about 15, 20 minutes into the stint. He did it in, well, half that time. 10 minutes has gone by. He may have lost the lead off of the start, but he's back in it. He's looking to not only win the championship, but also put the feather in the cap, the cherry on top, by winning the race. He's got to get by Zach Vermac, though.
Yeah, he'll want to take the victory to take the championship. It won't be as easy as he would first imagine, though. I mean, I don't imagine he would. He's only taken one victory across the season, and he's looking to make it a second. This battle, though, for third, wages on Raphael Huell and Philip Brescia. Brescia has the lead in it at the moment, but Huell is driving the obviously fast Aston Martin, and he tries to close down. Just going onto the grass there, Raphael Huell trying to find a gap down the inside, and Philip Brescia just holding stern, does not let him make his way through, and Huell, rather sheepishly, I'd imagine, tucks back behind.
Wow. Well, I don't even know if we have a term for that in modern racing. I think the Gandalf reference is just about as good as it ever could be. We're going to take a look at that again. We've seen it. We've heard about it in the past. The pass in the grass. This is the you shall not pass in the grass. Look at this. He's not on the I didn't know that they were running Rallycross today. I lost the memo there, but Raphael Huell came prepared apparently.
It seems to be the case. I mean, he's managed to keep it clean. Anytime
How
I
did he
touch
not
the car onto
crash?
the grass, I'm going round. Yeah. So that, to be fair, that's pretty good racecraft to not go into each other.
I think Raphael Huell, judging by the flashing of the lights on the Heart of Racing Aston, is a little upset. I bet Huell thinks Brescia shaded him over there and intentionally didn't give him room. But in my opinion, and again, I hate to use formula rules in a tin top race, but I think Brescia was shading that way. I think he made it obvious, and I don't think there is. I think Huell elected to go on the grass there, but that's just my opinion. Has Van der Velken had an incident here? They have done. They're going to go too far over the curb, and they're going to end up in the inside wall. Now, that is a common incident we see in other GT racing sims.
But it's not a common incident we see from a champion, of course, champion of the LMGT3 AMS, and he's tried to put full throttle down before. He's just gotten a little bit too eager on the throttle, and he sees himself go round.
Very rough indeed there for the champion-elect of the AM category. And as much as Martin Lawrence, by the way, has taken the lead overall and looking like champion-elect himself, but that's not what Van der Velken wanted to do. You never want to end up like that. You always want to be able to cross the line, but we have seen that over the years here at RCI where the champion has a huge incident. You're just really happy, not only that Tom Watts is busy elsewhere, but also that you really didn't have to perform today to get that result. We're going to try and find where Martin Lawrence made the pass here, Joseph.
Yes, he made his way back to that race lead ahead
Oh,
of Zach Vermaak. And well, I believe that's a mistake drawn out from Zach. So I said you needed to draw out mistakes in the second or third sectors to get past. And Vermaak just tried to shape up to defend to the inside line. Lawrence tried to make his way through, and well, he shaped up to the inside first, then the outside. Vermaak was stuck on the inside, and then from there, his entry and exit to the next chicane was ruined, and that allowed Martin Lawrence to force a mistake out of Zach Vermaak and retake that lead.
Of course, we haven't had time to say hello to the chat. Hello, everyone out there watching the series finale of LMGT Sprint Series here on RCI Fridays. We thank you very much for being with us today. We also would like to invite you all to like, subscribe, hit the bell for more racing action. We'll be back live tomorrow for RSS Endurance Racing action. 6 hours of Watkins Glen over on iRacing. Going to want to be there for that. Our very own broadcaster here, Joseph Ted Edwards, a little bit of an Iron Man, a little bit. He's not only does run the Fridays around here, he's also going to do the entirety of the iRacing 6 hour broadcast by himself. He's going to be taking care of all of us commentators all day long. He's not even getting paid for it. He's a volunteer like the rest of us. Who would sign up? Only a madman, I would assume.
Or somebody who's very good at babysitting, as Carlo D'Orazio's had a terrible time of it in this race, trying to go for overtakes. Looked like he tried to shape another one up there. And has he done a Zach Vermaak? No, he's not even made it to the exit of the corner, and he's already spun around, lost his rear wing, and presumably retired, become the second after Van Driesch to retire from the race. So very much not an ideal situation.
Just being told that it gets even more bizarre for D'Orazio. Apparently, they blew the engine in the car, and that caused them to spin wildly out of control and into the wall.
I believe that was Van Driesch earlier on.
Oh, was it Van Driesch?
On that one, yeah.
Ryan Cassidy has just retired the D station Aston Martin. Now, what's happened to the 777 car?
Well, let's have a look. Potentially another overheating moment, and a snap of oversteer once again, slamming into the wall. That has he caught too much of the inside curb there? I reckon, or was he already? I think he was already losing it on the way into the corner, and potentially he's just tried to go too sharp into the corner, and from there he's gone round and out of the race. So for Ryan Cassidy, that is certainly not ideal. He becomes the third DNF of this race, and that's two quick fire ones now.
Dropping like absolute flies here. Everyone having mistakes. It's sort of status quo. Everyone going off the circuit. So we've had an engine blow and hard trips into the wall. Normally the gravel traps, I think, save you a lot of the time. Not the case here today. Not happening at all. In fact, everybody seems to be making it to the wall, doing extreme damage to the cars.
Yeah, it does seem to be that there is a lot of damage coming off of these cars. I think they're just going with too much speed in one direction, and they're unable to recover. There's a yellow flag out as Milan van der Weyken comes into the pits, and it's for Raphael Huel, who's gone off the circuit and bumping over that gravel. Well, not sure what's happened there to Raphael Huel. We're going to try and find out what happened to him as he headed over the crest of the hill, just following him behind, missed his braking point, and he was trying to find it again, touched the grass, and I mean, I thought he had a stable setup from when he managed to stay on the grass earlier. No such luck this time.
Going for third place there on Felipe Brecha for the second time. Was not nearly as lucky in the grass this time as he was the previous attempt where he was just mowing it. This time he visited the beach as well, and that will drop him down the order several spots and relieve the pressure on this man, Felipe Brecha, for the time being.
Yeah, Philippe Brasier at the moment just looking pretty comfortable in third. Sixth place, though, is looking, or fourth place even, is looking a little bit more contentious as Angelo Scotti follows through and potentially tries to make an overtake. Huge gravel thrown up by Philippe Brasier. So I think there's been a lot of mistakes from drivers so far, as small as that one is. And I think for some of them, they could be having an opportunity just to try and keep it on. Race of attrition, you would call it. And just try and avoid mistakes. Martin Lawrence, by the way, 3 seconds up on Zach Vermaak. So he has been able to take the opportunity ever since he took that lead to just try and extend it.
Sure has. That's sort of the thing. That's Martin Lawrence's style. He doesn't always fire off as quickly as a lot of other guys, and sometimes that gets him back in the pack a little bit. But if there's anybody I would trust to pass race cars, it's probably the Czech driver Martin Lawrence and his sometimes teammate, sometimes best friend, sometimes worst enemy, Philippe Braicha. But what has happened to Zach Vermaak? He's gone off in Aqua Minerale. He's hit a wall somewhere, surely, and he's down off of P2. He's just about outside top 5. He surely will as soon as they catch him because he has no wing. He lost it coming into Aqua Minerale. He's going to make it all the way to the Avis barrier, and the rear wing's gone. The rear diffuser's gone. That's going to be at least a trip down to the pit lane. I don't suspect Vermaak's going to retire that car unless there's an operatic singer somewhere. I don't think he's going to retire, but that will be a lengthy pit stop. Look at that car squirm with no rear downforce.
Yeah, and he's going to try and recover from that point as he had the pace for the race lead. We could be seeing him go for a late charge through the field because of that. Raphael Huel will be in a similar situation where he's going to try and fight up from further down than his pace. And, well, the fact that Zach Vermaak crashed has it's not an ideal situation for him, but it's a perfect situation for Martin Lawrence, who he was only coming under pressure from one car in this race, and that was Zach. Now that he's not coming under pressure from anybody at all, he's got a 9-second gap. He's almost definitely going to win this race, although now that I've said that. But I think for him,
Did you learn
this is
nothing from last week?
Well, have I learnt nothing from my entire commentary career? To be honest, I think because that is one of the drivers going very
Reese Wilkinson.
far off the circuit. Reese Wilkinson sacrificing the position to Angelo Scotti, that third place. And going wide again.
Oh my
Reese
goodness!
So trying to recover the car, not working very well for him at the moment. But yeah, Daniel Merchant now trying to pressure, and we'll hope that we don't see anybody going off of the circuit. As you said, that you didn't think Zach Vermaak was going to DNF. Well, we've seen the end of his day, and he becomes the 4th DNF from this race. Vermaak, Cassidy, D'Orazio, and Van Driesch. Only one non-Aston Martin retirement. But yeah, Zach Vermaak joins the list that is gradually extending.
Yeah, for Zach Vermaak, it's going to be a campaign to forget. They had the pace to win this championship every step of the way for my money. The problem was they didn't have the endurance or the consistency to get it done. And I don't know how new Zach Vermaak is, but maybe LMU has been a huge learning curve for the driver with damage that isn't as forgiving as it is in some other simulators. I know that can also play a part in it as well. But if Zach Vermaak can figure out their consistency issue that they have, they are going to be nearly impossible to contend with, not only in LMU, but in any sim racing endeavor that they attempt to do.
I completely agree with you. He's been up there both times that I've been here with you. And I think if he's able to iron out those mistakes, then he's going to be a very, very scary driver. But it could be the mistakes that are making the driver at the moment as well. Callum Kerrigan could be coming under pressure from Daniel Merchant. He's 1.8 seconds off of Richard Whittle, so he's got no slipstream from the car up in front. And, well, Callum could be coming under pressure from Merchant. Liggins looming in the background, and Mimsman and McFlood look like they may well be fighting very soon. McFlood looked at a line past Mimsman, couldn't get the run to get it done. And, well, both of them fighting. They'll only really get back into this battle if these few start scrapping. as we got information a little bit from Zach Van Mack. He said he had no practice. He had to randomly press button on setup, and was absolutely horrible to drive. Well, I mean, there's a certain extent to which you can blame it on having no setup, but there's a certain extent to which pressing random buttons isn't going to get you very far when you're trying to find a setup or trying to set your car up or yourself up for a race. So there's a certain extent to which I've got sympathy for him, and there's a certain extent to which I think he'll be going home and really reevaluating that ahead of the next championship.
Adding on to that, we had a message from Zeno Van Driesch. By the way, that was Van Driesch's engine that expired, not D'Orazio's earlier on. I erroneously called that when we corrected it in the moment, but leading into a message from Zeno Van Driesch in our chat here, it says, just wanted to say I love this championship. It's sad that it had to end early. Misjudged setup, had no top speed, too much tape. My engine was gone. Let's just say Imola isn't my circuit, and neither are these cars even on the circuit. As Snooty McFlude drives, or gets driven, I should probably say, completely off of the racetrack. Mims Man involved there, in a car that's already been involved in a couple of incidents. Zeno, let me just say, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you, and we would love to have you back for another championship, LMU or otherwise, in the near future. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sticking out. And a message to all of our drivers. 21 cars, Joseph, I think, the end of the season. That's pretty damn strong. We didn't start with that many more than that. And, the attrition for each race has been up, but they come back each week and they give it another go. So much more can go wrong in LMU, compared to other sims. Like, for instance, you can blow your engine immediately. It's just it's a whole different animal is LMU. It's a learning curve, but the response to this series has been amazing. So thank you to all of the drivers that participated in this season. First of its kind, LMGT only season, and it's been an absolutely memorable one. Wouldn't have been the same without every single one of you.
Exactly. Well, we've got a lot to be thankful for, and speaking of, we've got a lot of sponsors to thank as well. You've got we'll start with Coach Dave Delta, where you can help find some pace, and Callum Kerrigan spoke a couple of weeks ago about the fact that Coach Dave Delta is actually helping his opponents get a lot faster than he is, and realise their potential in the racing, and that is exactly not what he would have wanted to see, as we watch on with Kerrigan now. But yeah, I mean, they're using Coach Dave Delta. He may well not be, or he may well not be maximising the potential of it. So he's only got himself to blame. Then you've got Green Man Gaming, where you can buy all sorts of different games at discounted rates, and you can get some racing games on there as well. Speaking of racing, Frank Forrest looking for a move down the inside, but cannot quite make the move done on Campbell, and just stays in behind. It was more of an audacious move than anything else, but he has to stay in behind. Then you got IMB Racewear, which can, with Malcolm, my co-commentator at the RSS Endurance Series just a couple of weeks ago, highly recommends the IMB gloves. But they've got a lot of simware that you can check out there. And Moser Racing, if you want to get your hands on some of the best wheels and just some of the best equipment in the esports scene, well, Moser Racing is your one-stop shop. And we are a Motorsports UK esports recommended partner, which is a great honour to have. You can see the partners revolving around in the top right corner of your screens. Currently, it's on an IMB Racewear graphic, but there's so many who help make these series possible. Daniel Merchant trying to go for the move on Callum Kerrigan, doesn't do it, sits in behind, just because he doesn't get the run down the straight, or down with the top speed at the end of the straight. And then, there's what's happened to Martin Lawrence here. It's Milan van der Weyken, in fact, as he's stopped on the circuit. So something has happened to our AM Championship leader, and I believe Victor now mathematically has too much curbing, maybe, although he's managed to keep it going in a straight line. So has he done exactly the same thing we saw a couple of laps ago, where there's just too much speed taken into the corner? No. He's also come out of the exit all right, but it's the exit where he struggles, and that
Oh,
is a
man!
huge slam into the wall.
Oh my goodness, Milan van der Velken has hit the wall, exiting Aqua Minerale with such a force, he probably moved the whole track a few meters to the right. I've never seen a car hit that wall with that much force. Look at this, riding the bucking Bronco, and bam, knocks the tire off of the front of the car. Van der Velken's day is done. Good grief.
That was aggressive. I don't understand how he managed to get that much pace off the gravel, to be fair. And, well, that's Milan van der Weyken. Surely out of the race now, missing a tyre. And he could become the next retirement. He does become the next retirement as he becomes the second BMW out of the race. And all the others being Aston Martins. That's not a great record for either of those teams. Terry Liggins into the pit lane. The first of, I believe, many, just to go for a regular pit stop.
This, of course, the first car down the pit lane, sort of on a scheduled stop. Of course, no required stops in the RCI rule book for this series. The cars are just limited by their fuel range, or their virtual energy range, I should say, not the actual fuel tank. It's more to do with the electric hybrid energy that they're limited by. But they have proven that in certain instances, they can make it the distance. These cars, notwithstanding, they have come down the pit lane. Liggins and Frank Forrest both in the lane for what I would presume to be a scheduled stop. Not up on the jacks, I noticed, Frank Forrest. That's because he's not in his box. He's hunting. He's trying to find it. Did he ever find it? I'm unsure, but he's definitely leaving the pit lane now. Daniel Merchant, meanwhile, who's gotten inside the top 10. Where in the world is Daniel Merchant? I'll find Carmen Sandiego before I figure out where Daniel Merchant's gone.
Well, it looks like he may well be in San Diego as he goes all the way off the circuit into the gravel trap. And
I'm glad you got that reference.
Thank you. I didn't, but thank you. I know where San Diego is, so it's helpful. Daniel Merchant must have just missed the corner, and well, we'll get a replay of what happened to him as just coming on the exit. Yep, too much oversteer, too much speed into the corner once again. But yeah, Daniel Merchant just taking too much speed, keeping it out of the wall and making sure not to lose the rear on the exit. And yeah, Daniel, huge slide, and he's done well to save that one.
Just a huge sort of trip. Took a left there at Albuquerque, and you know how it is. You take a left at Albuquerque, you end up in San Diego a little bit as well. Just some absolute madness going on. I thought Imola, you know what I thought we were going to do? I thought, Joseph, we were going to have a pretty standard by the numbers race without a lot of drama. Honest to goodness, it's been anything but. We've seen more dramatic exits than we've seen all season. We've seen some puzzling moments on top of that. Our championship fights were not what we thought they were going to be. The fact that there are none is the surprising thing here thus far. Just a wild last round. This one will certainly live long in the memory, just if nothing else, the hard hits into the wall.
Yeah, they really have been really aggressive. And the drivers, I don't think, would have been expecting a hard round at this last one, because it's not a circuit that looks particularly difficult, but it does end up being difficult. It's difficult for most, not difficult for Martin Lawrence. 15.2 second gap at the top, and he is absolutely flying on his way to a victory.
Frank Forrest has come back in, and I think that highlights what I was talking about. I don't think he ever got his stop done. I think he went over the line, and it would not pit him after he had rolled too far forward. So he's had to come back in a second time. Now he's up on the jacks, then now he's down and gone. And that will be the pit stop done, albeit in 2 attempts for Frank Forrest.
Yeah, I mean, second time lucky for him. He was down at the back of the field anyway, so it's just looking as though it's not going to be his day, and that just emphasises that fact. But for Angelo Scotti, It's been their day a little bit more. There's been an up and down day. They still find themselves in third place despite a huge mistake on lap 1 that saw them surely with damage and dropping down the field. But ever since then, they've been able to establish themselves in third place. And, well, they've got Raphael Huel bearing down on them, so they could come under pressure in the next few laps. But at the moment, I think they're happy to sit in that third place on the podium. Fourth place would not be too bad for them as well. But we shall see what ends up happening. Huel is quicker than Angelo Scotti at the moment, and he's closing right in 1.3 the gap down to 1.1 around the final couple of corners. And if Huel can get the run out of the final corner, he could really try to apply the pressure. Michel Beisner into the pit lane as well. Not the first and certainly not the last to come into the lane.
Certainly not. You talked about Angela Scotti, just to go back to them for the moment. Remember, they started 5th, went down to 7th after the turn 2, turn 3 contact that they had. They were all the way down in 7th. They have driven up. They've not been gifted these spots. Scotti has driven up there. Scotty's shown us this entire season that they have the tenacity to compete at a high level, but today is just the icing on the cake for Angela Scotti, who's in a podium spot. What a sweet finish this would be. That would break the tie for P5. Heck, this might even put them in with a shout at P4 in the championship if my head calculation is correct, which I wouldn't trust that for anything in the world, but they may have a shot for P4 in the championship at the end of the day and end it with a podium finish as well. Still a lot of work to do. 25 and a half minutes with a charging Raphael Huel, who you'll remember was contesting P3 at the time with Philippe Breccia. Frank Forrest coming down the pit lane a third time, and this time I have no explanation, so I'll go to my partner, Joseph Black. Joseph?
He's now on the blocks, but maybe he got damage in the last lap. I don't know why you've gone to me, because I've probably got less of an idea as to why Frank Forrest has come into the pit lane. He's come back out. That's 3 and 3 laps now. Maybe I'm thinking the first lap he came in to get rid of some damage, or the first lap he came in and got some fresh tyres, forgot to get some fuel on, something along those lines. But yeah, that's really not ideal for Frank, and it just gets worse and worse. Philippe Breccia continues on at the moment, and well, he's 20 seconds behind Martin Lawrence. I don't think, if Lawrence was to come into the pit lane in a couple of laps, I don't think he'd be too far off Breccia here.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And I also do know that they're in communication with each other. Of course, they're fellow countrymen and very often teammates. Not the case in this series, but they have helped each other out. I've noticed a couple of times with traffic earlier on in the series. So I would wager that they would coordinate their stops, Joseph, and not get in each other's way anyway. But I reckon you're right. I also reckon that they would put themselves in the best position possible for each other. So maybe Martin Lawrence comes in, does their stop, gets out there and hassles Scotti a little bit to give Breccia a little bit of room, considering Lawrence is almost assuredly going to walk away with this. Commentator's curse notwithstanding there in that comment. But if I was Breccia, I'd be pleading my case to Lawrence right now. But like, go pit, get around Scotti, slow them down so that I can have a little breathing room, because Scotti is catching me. We'll have to see how much of a team player both the Czech drivers are willing to be at this stage, because look at that gap still coming down. Scotti very much in sort of the wispy draft of Breccia right now. Gained another 10th through that middle sector, did Angelo Scotti.
So now Scotty's looking quicker than Raphael Huel. So potentially the second Aston Martin in the field has missed a trick here by trying to push and catch up to Scotty. But at the moment, Angelo Scotti is closing on Philippe Breccia and is under a second behind now. And well, we'll see what they're going to be able to do. They're closing right in down the straight. And I don't think it'll be this lap that they come in as well. Frank Forrest is into the pit lane again for the 4th time in 4 laps. I don't know.
I'm not sure what's going on with Frank Forrest's pit stop. Now, I do know when you come into the pit lane and exit the pit lane, it resets your settings. If he has not deduced that and he keeps getting an erroneous pit stop that doesn't satisfy his fuel requirement to get to the end of the race, or he keeps having a specific issue, that could be why he keeps coming in. Or he's using this race as a test bed, considering he is last on the road 16th. He may be testing out various different things live during a race. We have seen teams do that. I think Manti did that during the Spa race one year where they were so far out of it. It may have been a different Porsche, in fact, but they just use it as a test for the next race that they were going to do. Audi may have done that in a prototype at some point as well with one of their cars. But other than that, I am all out of guesses for what is going on. Frank Forrest might also be trying to set the highest amount of pit stops ever done in one of these races to hold that sort of record. Now, you may say, Joseph, Jesse, that's stupid. Why would anyone do that? Well, SJ&H may have had a competition about this a long time ago in Night Owl to see who could do the most pit stops in a race. I'm not saying that's what he's doing. I'm grasping at straws here, man. Bail me out.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to someone doing something like that, as Angelo Scotti is very close to the back of Philip Brescia now. Could be trying to make a move around the outside, only just enough width for a car to go through. And Scotti actually compromises their exit, so they may well have been able to get through had they braked earlier. But now they're going to try and take the opportunity to go around the outside of Brescia into the next corner. Later on the brakes is the number 46. So he holds on to the lead for the time being. But Scotti certainly trying to pressure at the moment. And Raphael Huell is waiting in the background for these mistakes to be made or for these attempts at overtakes. Brescia defending has meant that it slowed both of those cars down, and that gap to Lawrence is now 20.3. That gap to Huell is 1.1. So a three-car battle for this second place is on as we reach the final 20 minutes of this race.
Brescia, this is not what they wanted to see. I would be working out a deal with Martin Lawrence. I'd be, I don't know, sacrificing a goat. I don't know what, anything right now to try and get the gods on my side, because this is not looking good. Not only has Scotti caught them, Huell's caught them both up. Brescia, the sort of cork in the bottle here. Martin Lawrence doesn't appear to be willing to help a fellow countryman out. And this could get very, very ugly indeed. Huell between Scotti. How do you do this? How would you attack this, Joseph, if it was you? Scotti has spent the past 15 minutes catching up to Brescia. Huell's done the same to catch up to both of them. You would think that Scotty's got to make a definitive move here unless Huell gets there first, which it looks like Scotti had a pretty bad turns 2 through 4 right there. Huell right on the back of Scotti here. If you're Scotti, do you let Huell go to catch Brescia and hope that you can get them back? What's the game plan?
I think you do sort of have to look at it from an outside perspective, and you have to look as at it and maybe let Huell go, because he is probably quicker at this point in time. Let him fight Philip Brescia, and then I'm going to try and find my way through. But these three at the moment, whatever happens, it's going to be it's going to be incredibly fiery. But at the moment, it is now the gap is 21 seconds.
Looking back at the chat, Zach Vermack joined us as well. Another DNF today. The attrition rate has been exceedingly high, probably the highest it's been all season long. He comes in and echoes what he said in the race chat, saying that no practice, didn't have the setup, had to press random settings, had been busy this week. Not too bad for a driver that led the race early on today. That they had a collage style set up full of random button clicks and presses. I think that goes to show that the skill and the ability is there. Heck, I'm pretty sure Zach Vermack could win in a setup I made, and I can't even do that. So there you go. But mutual admiration in the chat between Van Driesch and Vermack. Hope to see them back in the future in competition. Meanwhile, this fight does continue. Another lap gone. Huel still behind Scotty as Scotty does close back up on Blachia. A lap ago, it looked like Scotty was going to get overtaken by Huel. Now, Scotty picked up the pace again after that bad sector one, caught back up to Blachia, and now all three of them as close as they've been, well, pretty much ever. This all for a fight for P2. Daniel Merchant has a penalty, and it's a rare one, Joseph.
It's for track limits, which, judging on how the drivers have been going so far this race, I'm not surprised by the fact that somebody's been caught out by the track limits. We've seen many drivers off into the gravel. However, it's actually quite difficult to extend the track limits without losing a lot of time, and the game will weigh it up based on how much time you've lost, because obviously if you're backwards in the wall, they're not going to give you a track limits warning. But Daniel Merchant has gained sufficient time to lose out and suffer from a drive-through penalty, and that is certainly not good for the only McLaren in this race. Angelo Scotti trying to pressure once again on the back of Philippe Brescia. Raphael Huel waiting in the background, and they're going to head down the main straight one more time and maybe make an opportunity stick out of the final couple of corners. Angelo Scotti did make an opportunity stick as Raphael Huel bails from the battle and comes into the pit lane. That allows Scotti to attack Brescia with no pressure from behind, but there is nothing in the way of straight line speed advantage for Scotti at the moment, even towards the top end speed, and using all of that slipstream. So Philippe Brescia getting the better exit out of the final corner. It was so crucial in that one as Raphael Huel into the pit lane, and he's going to be ready and raring to go for the final 15 minutes of this race.
That's so smart right there by Raphael Huel coming into the pit lane, getting out from behind. Was stuck behind Scotty and Brescia for a few laps there, getting out from behind them, getting your stop done. If you know that you're going to have to come in for a splash or a recharge of energy, that's exactly the right time to get it done. Don't waste time. Huel is still sitting there in the pit lane, though. Something amiss on the harder racing Aston of Raphael Huel. This is a uncharacteristically, unnecessarily long stop. Have they changed tires? No, this is even longer than that, Joseph.
Yeah, I'm really not sure what's going to on for Raphael Huel at the moment. I really don't know, as that's been the way it's been. There we go, Raphael Huel out of the race, as whatever it was in the pit lane has cost him his entire race, and his battle for the podium is off. So now it's up to a two-car battle at the top, and this is between Angelo Scotti and Philippe Brescia. Obviously not right at the very top, because at the very top is Martin Lawrence, 24 seconds ahead of Philippe Brescia now, and that is supreme. Scotti pressuring down the main straight on Philippe Brescia, and is he going to be able to make his way past as they head down to the first corner? We'll have to wait and see. Once again, Angelo Scotti not quite close enough. Looks like they might be shaping up a move, but haven't quite done so yet, and they're going to have to wait for next lap. They are getting closer and closer to an overtake, though, and at the end of the day, they are not close enough just yet, as we get Snooty McFlude defending ahead, or no, attacking Callum Kerrigan even, who's done well to get up to 5th place.
I'd be careful working on Callum Kerrigan, Snooty, if I were you. He's in control of a lot of the content management we do here at RCI. Of course, I'm the broadcast director and all that, but there's a lot of people that you don't really get to hear from or see. Callum Kerrigan's one of them. He's the guy that does the shorts, the Instagram, all the post and stuff like that. And he's just been, him and the entire content team have been absolutely mega for us. Some of you probably watching have found us through our shorts, our Instagram reels, etc., and so forth. And Callum Kerrigan, though, he may put you on a reel or a short if you get involved with him. I can almost guarantee he will do sometime in the future. Got to make it a clean pass. Hey, I tell you what, Snooty, you make a clean pass on him, I'll make him do it for your benefit, not his own. Because I'm the broadcast director, Joseph.
Yeah,
Joseph.
Raphael Huel, by the way. Yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we've got our answer for that long stop.
Rafael Huel apparently requested a brake change. He doesn't agree, but that is what the game has deemed him as having done. As both Philip Brescia and Angelo
Oh my
Scotti have come into
goodness.
the pit lane, and surely there may well have been contact on the way in because they were incredibly close together.
This is interesting. Watch what happens to Scotty. Now, that does waste a little bit of time having to turn the car like that, but it's going to waste a little time whenever he stops or whenever Angela stops Breccia. Breccia's going to get away, and they're going to leave exactly as they came in. That is the brilliant party piece of LMU illustrated right there. That was excellent, and dare I say, a little bit intentional by Angela Scotti. They brought their car in at an egregious angle. That required them to be turned around on the jacks, but that also required Breccia to be turned so that they could get out of the pit lane. It all negates each other, and they leave completely line astern the way they were. Brilliant gamesmanship by both of them, in my opinion, and also, again, highlights one of the coolest things that happens in LMU, and dare I say only in LMU.
I believe so. I'm not sure. Any other series that has something like that, as Callum Kerrigan is in the pit lane as well towards the end of this one, just getting a little bit of a lift up towards the end of this race. You've got Wilkinson, Campbell, and of course your race leader Lawrence haven't come into the lane. And well, as far as Forrest understands, he's coming to the pit lane for Martin Lawrence. Lawrence needs to be informed, though, that in fact his teammate cannot take a pit stop for him. And also Wilkinson and Campbell trying to blag that as well. Forrest has taken one pit stop for all of them, and they haven't taken a single pit stop for themselves just yet.
No, of course, if you're Martin Lawrence, there's no real rush to come in unless you absolutely have to. We would expect Martin to be in the next 5 minutes or so, probably even sooner than that. They can't have much virtual energy left in that leading 88 Ford Mustang. Surely not. Reese Wilkinson, by the way, has pitted the 66, the JMW Motorsports Ferrari. That was a huge move by Wilkinson. And the only problem with being moved that far, Joseph, is that, again, that wastes time. That wastes a second or two. And if you're in a tight fight like Breccia and Scotty, you can ill afford that, again, unless you force the other car to also have a move like that, which is what was brilliant. But Wilkinson wasn't really fighting that battle, so realistically, they lost 2 seconds comparatively to other drivers. Colin Campbell, we haven't heard much or talked much about the number 46 BMW of Colin Campbell, up inside the top 5 right now, still yet to complete their sort of pseudo-mandatory pit stop. I reckon they'll be in a lap or so.
Look at the amount of energy left in that one as Martin. Well, look at the amount of energy in that one, or the lack of energy in that one. And yeah, Martin Lawrence coming in, and I'd imagine he's still going to come out about 20 years ahead of everybody else. He's in Monza, everybody else is in Imola, and well, Martin Lawrence 62 seconds ahead of Philip Brescia at the moment. As Philip Brescia, oh no, that's Angelo Scotti speaking of, has gone round. So third place has dropped the rear of the car. Is this contact between themselves and Brescia? We've seen a bit of gamesmanship. Have we got a little bit of an issue down the main straight? Scotty looking to the outside line there. Brescia trying to take the inside, switching to that outside. Scotty still potentially trying to make the move. No, just tuck back in, brake later. Missed their braking point. Went into the back of Brescia, but no damage done, no harm caused for either of them. Then down the next straight, Scotty once again looked to go for the overtake. Nothing there once again. And Scotty just trying to apply the pressure on Philip Brescia at the moment. And is it going to be right here? Not quite enough space for, Angelo Scotti just tried to get the power down, sensed an opportunity as they were alongside Philip Brescia. And then just from there, it spiraled.
Oh dear, it all went very wrong there. It was very fighty. We're getting down to that part of the race. Sub 10 minutes, everybody fighting for it, tooth and nail. And it just came undone there. Breccia somehow, and I thought Breccia was dead to rights right there. I thought at least one of them, Scotty or Huel, would get them. Huel, with the brake change, took them out of the fight. Scotty with the spin, and somehow Breccia holds. I have no idea how the Czech driver's done that, but they have put up a defensive wall that just seems impenetrable. Trying to figure out what happened to Daniel Merchant here, though.
Yeah, we'll see what happened as Merchant's not had a great race. He had an incident, then he had a drive-through penalty. And for Daniel Merchant, this could be a third little issue in this race. Yep, just lost the rear, overcorrected once again, and just dropped it from then on. Not too badly, but then it just got a little bit worse as he wasn't actually that far into the gravel until he was, and then that's where he really lost the time. So back out.
You've been hanging out with me too long.
Racetrack.
That sounds like something I would say. We've been working too much together. You need a vacation away from me, is what you need.
Agreed.
Snooty McFlude. Wow, that was way too quick of an answer. Snooty McFlude, 8th place, looking to get 7th place away from Liggins. Remember, Liggins, I believe, was one of those drivers that had the slightly longer pit stop. McFlude trending up this entire race, up inside the top 10, looking to take 7th here, coming down to the chicane side by side, a little bit of a touch, no harm, no foul. McFlude on the outside, giving space is Liggins, just about giving space, I should say, as they head down out of the chicane, and this is going to be close into Ravazza this time. Will anybody give? Not quite. Down the inside still is Liggins. Will he overdrive? Just a little contact, a bonk off of the racetrack as they exit Ravazza through 19 into 20. This dog leg counts as a turn. Fight me, and it will be held by Liggins somehow.
Liggins holding on to it ahead of Snooty McFlude, who's going to try and fight back down the main straight. Will not get enough of a slipstream run as there's more yellow flags out around the circuit with 5 minutes left to go in the session. Somebody else has dropped it, and it's Callum Kerrigan who's gone off into the gravel, the same place that Merchant went off into the gravel, and it took them a little bit longer to get back going again for Callum Kerrigan. Just riding a lot in the gravel, and we're going to get a little bit of a better look at what Callum Kerrigan, what happened to Callum Kerrigan, in fact. Well, we'll see. Turn number 1 was where Kerrigan had the incident as we're going at about Martin Lawrence speed down the 3rd sector and into the 1st sector.
We really should check his engine.
Callum. Oh, well, BOP isn't a thing in the series. It's Kerrigan dropped it, and yeah, it just goes into the gravel. Actually taps the wall, I think, unnecessarily, as we've had another issue. Snooty McFlude is the latest to have had a problem, and we'll see what's happened to the 777. Just too much curbing, and I believe this is an engine failure. This is, in fact, live footage from Snooty McFlude. This is not the first issue that he's had on this lap. And, well, it may well not be the last. So the number 777 really struggling on that lap. And, well, it was just very much not ideal. We'll have a look now at what happened as he looked down the inside of Liggins. Didn't make the move. Came out on the exit sitting in behind. Dirty Air could have had an effect on him as he chased right down on the Ferrari up ahead. But yeah, just too much. He's done what Raphael Huell did earlier. Almost went straight into Liggins, and then, well, had a worse incident than what Huell did. Huell was able to get it stopped. McFlude not so much. And, well, he went into the wall, lost his rear wing, and that is the result of it, as he gets not as much downforce. But he's, to be fair, he made that look really pretty, and that he started flying away mid corner. He didn't fancy taking Variante LTs. Now DNF'd from the race. Potentially the most dramatic lap I've ever seen from an individual. He first span and then did a sick drift and then flew, and that was his race gone.
That doesn't sound like something that would possibly happen. It sounds like something out of Peter Pan, but I assure you that did happen here at Imola today. McFlude DNFs, and that's just a sad end for a day that could have potentially been P7 on the day for Snooty McFlude. It's going to end in the garage. 7+ DNFs today, the highest attrition of any race we've done in LMU history here on RCI. It eclipses the previous record of 6 earlier in the season. Up front, Martin Lawrence not missing anything there. They have, of course, I'm pretty sure they've done their stop in the meantime. Brecha P2. It's a check 1-2, a checkmate, if you will, is what we call that. Reese Wilkinson up into third place, and what a deserved finish it would be for that driver today. Angela Scotti up a spot from where they started, would awfully like the podium, but of course had their issues contesting second from Felipe Brecha. That's dropped them off the podium. And what about Whittle in fifth place in the Corvette, a car that has nary seen a checkered flag this season? The TF Sport Corvette. Richard Whittle behind the wheel, looking to get his first top 5 of the season in the finale, in the only Corvette in the field.
What a story that would be for Richard Whittle. He's not got any pressure before or after him. 16 seconds ahead is Angela Scotti, and 6 seconds behind is Liggins. So he really doesn't need to do much here to take it home. And with 1 minute 25 left in the session, I'd be surprised if he did lose this position from this point, as we are heading on to the penultimate lap, I would imagine, of this race. And we are pretty happy with how this one has gone. It's been a little bit dramatic, as Martin Lawrence is going to go, and yeah, he's going to be one more, so it is the penultimate lap of the race. Martin Lawrence in that first sector now, and is going to try and come through it. And I think even if he lost the top gear here, even if he lost 6th gear, he'd still be sitting about 20 seconds ahead of the field for the rest of the race. That shows how dominant he's been, as well, Kevin Boss is being closed in by Campbell, and well, Kevin Boss in 9th place at the moment. Not a bad performance from him either, as we have everybody from 14th down to 21st, apart from Mr. Forrest himself, have DNF'd from the race. Forrest, a lap down, he's only just gotten past Snoody McFlood, and now it's 15th to 21st, all DNF'd, all Aston Martins apart from Van der Weyken and Van Driesch, but everybody else, the rest of them are Aston Martins. The sole Aston Martin left in this one is Angela Scotti, who's done well, to be fair, to keep that one in the track, it seems.
They have dissipated. There were about 3 or 4 of them in the top 5. That is only one left remaining. These drivers, by the way, will have 1 additional lap, so no rest for Kevin Boss and the GR Racing Ferrari. They will have to withstand the test from Campbell one more time. But for Martin Lawrence, they're going to come across the line and not only win the race at Imola, they're going to win the championship. Martin Lawrence wins the LMGT Sprint Series. Well done, Martin Lawrence.
Yes, he has dominated this last race. A champion's drive from Martin Lawrence, and it's a very, very well-deserved championship victory when it's all said and done, as Philippe Brecha now is going to come up to the line to take that 2nd place. He tried to pressure. He will take P2 in the championship and P2 in this race, but it's not enough. And, well, he will take that runners-up spot off of Christoph Verstappen after not racing today. A quick shot of Ryan Gill as we get to Reese Wilkinson, who takes home 3rd place. So that is not a bad performance. His first podium of the season, as he's really switched it on the last 2 rounds, 4th and 5th. Angela Scotti is going to take that 4th place away. They've taken their 4th place of this season. So consistency is proving to be key. Richard Whittle takes home an impressive 5th place in the Corvette, and Liggins will be taking home 6th. Madam Mimsman, Callum Kerrigan and Kevin Boss will surely round out a 4-way Ferrari lineup, with Campbell looking like he may well be pressuring Boss across the line as Kerrigan comes across in 8th, and Campbell will be in 10th, just behind Kevin Boss. We might get a drag race to the line here between the two. It is a late line on this circuit, but it doesn't look as though Campbell's got enough, and Boss is going to cross the line just up ahead. And, well, Merchant, Bison, Summershin and Forrest have all finished, and that is that for this evening. Martin Lawrence took the victory.
Good drive from Kerrigan and Boss, the sometimes teammates and friends off of the track as well. It was a 1-2 for friends. It was a 8-9 for friends as well. Speaking of which, we are joined by Martin Lawrence, the champion of the LMGT Sprint Series. Martin, can you summarize your season in a couple of sentences, just the ups and downs, and you ended on a high. It almost felt like a roller coaster, but you persevered and you got it done when you needed to.
Hello. Uh, yeah, well, ups and downs, yes. It's pretty much it. As few races I've did some practice, as was like the Spa, and on Imola I did a race before. So that was way easier for me, and the Mustang was really behaving well. The rest of the race was a kind of a like a, you know how it goes, work, real life issues. Then I was speeding to make it even, so just like loaded up a setup and tried the track for the first time in the quali, which went well most of the cases, like Bahrain, uh, Fuji. So it was kind of tough, but I was a lucky guy, I guess, to pick the Mustang because the Mustang seems, at least now on this patch, it seems like a little bit of a plug and play. That it doesn't require that much of a effort from the setup side of things. I set it up though for Imola. Some help from Go, some help from the CDA, some help from everything, and it worked very well. The pace was mega today. I'm really happy with my drive, which is not often that I say it, but yeah, I was happy today. Yeah, it was good. It was great.
Just in case the Polizia are listening, he said that he drove exactly the speed limit to get home in time to race. I want to make that very clear. That's what Martin meant to say as his lawyer and
Obviously.
attorney. He meant to say he misspoke. English, not his first language, etc., and so forth. Martin, in all seriousness, though, you're the first winner of the sprint series. Of course, we've had an LMGT champ before in the multi class, but in a series where you're racing all in the same machinery, and especially Aston came out looking so strong at the beginning of the season. You were able to put win after win together and get it done when you absolutely needed to. How much of that was the car, the circuit choice? How much of that was the big Czech guy sitting behind the wheel?
I mean, I picked the Mustang for obvious reasons. It was like, yeah, because I tried the car. I'm a muscle car fan, so I picked the Mustang for that because Corvette is not that much muscle anymore for me because the front, the engine should be in the front, and it was not that pleasant to drive, at least not in my hands. Um, and yeah, the Aston looked very fast, especially Zach was extremely fast. It was unlucky that he had so many hiccups with the either with the game or the setup that with the how is it called, the duct tape over the radiators.
Mm.
So it was I was, as I said, I was lucky that I was finishing still like between somewhere. Also, I think and I suspect if Chris would do all the races and not DNF and the Spa, he would be ahead of me because he is fast. He is very fast. So yeah, Mr. Consistency, I guess here. So yeah, I was lucky, but hey, I enjoyed it to the maximum. All the champ. It was fun. It was way more fun than I was expecting after switching from the ACC. So I'm happy for that. It was a mega championship from you guys. Looking forward to do some more.
Martin, you've won races in pretty much everything. You've won championships in different sims, but now you've won one in LMU, the newest sim that there is. What are your thoughts? What are your takeaways from this experience?
Is in this current state, I like to drive the Mustang because it's like not far away from my Bentley experience in the ACC because I'm tend to do it a little bit slidier. With the upcoming patches, I suspect they will be getting rid of the slip angle thingy a bit, so it's not gonna be that much of a slideshow from me. So it will be way more tough, but as it is, I really like it. Only thing I don't like that much is pretty much the starting procedure. It's a bit of a pain. Not the cold tires, that's not that much of an issue, but just the how they called it in the game, erratical driving, which sometimes the game says go, so you go instantly on the speed limiter, and then it ports you to the pits, which happened to Philip uh, last week, and that makes it a little bit tough. The starting procedure is a little bit of a pain for me, but other than that, I'm pretty much happy with the game. It's not bad. I'm looking forward to some endurances in it, because with this like virtual energy and fuel saving, I would say it will be a next challenge to it, and it'll be fun, I guess. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Finally, Martin, as champion, who do you want to say thank you to, give a shout out to out there?
Oh, thank you to everyone that participated, because giving me the challenge to overtake them is always part of the play. And thanks to all that was supporting me, team, RCI, friends, and yeah, opponents as well. And congratulations to them to finishing it.
Well, there you have it. Martin Lawrence wins his first LMU championship, and he gets it done in the Proton Mustang. Martin Lawrence, your champion. Congratulations.
Thank you. See you around.
Indeed, indeed. Martin Lawrence, ladies and gentlemen, and others. Joseph, what a season we had. We started off, we thought it might be Aston dominated. It wasn't. It was anything but. We had a mix of BMW, Ford, even Ferrari was up there as well. In the end, it was the Proton Mustang, driven by the Czech driver Martin Lawrence, that got it done. We saw cars flipping wildly, dramatic exits, engine issues, fuel drama, cars running out of fuel, very close down to the wire races, and a flip flop, topsy turvy championship all the way through. Drama to the very last today as well. It's about everything you could ever ask for, wrapped up with a nice little bow. That's what this championship was.
It was weird to see as well the fact that we had somebody in the end who was so dominant, because it really didn't feel like it throughout the championship. It didn't feel like somebody was so far up there, but in the end, it was so easy for Martin Lawrence, statistically at least. But this is why paper does sometimes lie, and the results do sometimes lie, because I don't think it was as easy as it looked for Martin Lawrence. And I think a lot of the time the focus was on the battles further down the field, yes, but those battles down the field were all aggressive and great battles as well. There was some great racecraft on the show, as you mentioned, and don't worry, I'm not trying to jinx any drivers. We haven't got any drivers out on circuit anymore, but it's one of those where the racecraft has been good, the battling has been good, the drama's been good, though the random incidents have also been good. You think about a couple of them today, just drivers making mistakes, and well, they're very well timed to bring us what has been a very entertaining hour every single week.
Well, of course, we're done here on LMU Fridays for the time being, but don't fret, we've got more racing action this weekend. The Ready Set Sim Endurance Series, sponsored by RSS, the 6 hours of Watkins Glen live, all 6 hours right here on RCI TV. Like, subscribe, follow, hit the bell. Don't miss a single race. And if you crave more racing action, why don't you get on the track yourself? Mini British GT starts in just under 2 weeks from now. Still time to sign up. It is what you expect it to be. We're hitting all the British racetracks. Pick any GT3 or GT4. That's right, it's multi-class on a Monday evening. Mini British GT with a 90-minute spa race as well, directly in the middle of all the British races that all have different lengths. 1 hour, 2 30-minute sprint races, the 90-minute race, as I said. Mini British GT, all that and more, racerci.com. And while you're there, 8 hours of Suzuka signups have come onto the site. That also is an ACC along with Mini British GT. Those signups are live right now. Find yourself a team, find yourself a category, and get racing today. RaceRCI.com. Before we sign off for the final time this season, I just want to thank our content team who have been putting in the extra work. And I've seen so many good clips, so many good shorts uh, out of this series. Today is probably not going to be any different, but our content team have been knocking it out of the park. So shout out to every single one of them, not only the ones that post the content, but those that help me behind the scenes as well. Our thumbnails are provided by a large part of our content team. I do some editing from time to time, but beyond that, it's all them. So thank those guys so much. Huge shout out to you, Joseph, for coming in and doing the final couple of rounds. It's been an absolute blast. Special shout out Ted Edwards, who has been here throughout the entire duration and putting up with us for a couple of hours every Friday night. It must be maddening for him, but we appreciate it nonetheless. And of course, for everything that Ted does for us behind the scenes as well. For that and more, you can go to racerci.com. Get involved today. We're racing on iRacing, ACC, and LMU currently. We're pretty confident we have a sim and a split for you. All things done and considered, what a fantastic championship it was. Ended here at Imola, a worthy winner in Martin Lawrence, getting his first LMU championship after finding victory lane one season ago in the multi-class. He gets it done all against other GT cars. Thank you all so very much for watching. I've been Jesse Lee, joined by Joseph Black. Ted Edwards has been with us behind the cameras. We thank you so much for watching. And until next time, have a good night.
You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Get behind the wheel, let's go. Grip the road, feel the flow. Thunder roaring, steel alive. Live this dream and drive. Tires burning with gasoline. Push the limits, chasing green. One shot, don't slow, go on, we'll take control.